Hey everybody, Joe Workman here, and in this video we're going to be reviewing how to edit text with our RapidWeaver CMS. Now, most of this video will actually be covering Easy CMS because all of those features actually work inside Total CMS as well. However, at the very end, we're going to go over some specific features that have been added to Total CMS just for text processing. Now, text processing inside this CMS is deceptively powerful because you can do more than just editing a paragraph of text. What we'll see here is that we can edit not only a paragraph of text, but text within any stack that we want. Essentially, if there is text on your web page, the CMS can edit it. How awesome is that? So let's jump in and see how really easy and powerful it is to set up. So here we have the Easy CMS Demo project that ships with Easy CMS, and you can also download it anytime from our documentation portal. And as you see, this is a very simple project. We have two pages. We have a content page and an admin page. In this example here, what we're going to do is we're going to edit the text of these tabs. So you see in tab 1, I have some text here, and then in tab 2, I have some other text. Now, later on in the video, we're going to get into actually editing the names of these tabs as well. But just to get started, let's go ahead and figure out how to actually edit the content of these tabs. Okay, so here's the admin page that I built to manage the content page that we were just looking at. And what you'll notice is I have a few areas to edit images, which we're not going to really go over right now. We're going to go over editing the text content within the tabs. And those areas are defined by these two boxes here below the two images. As you see up, I set up a column for each tab. Okay. And what's great is with the admin area, you can, set up your own layout. So this is all up to you on how you want to lay all of the admin pages out. Now, to easily start off, let's just go ahead and add some text into this box. Okay, so I've added a little bit of text into this box. And what you'll notice first off is that the outline around that box has turned red. And the reason for that is because it's indicating that this particular text box has changes that have not been saved to the CMS. So this gives you a great indication on what things you might have changed on the page, but have not yet saved them. Now, in this particular instance, I actually hid the save buttons below each text area because I integrated two things. First, at the very top, I have a centralized save button that my users can use. And if I were to click that, it would save all saved text areas on this particular page. Another thing that I can do is I could just simply hit Command S on my keyboard, or Control S on Windows. And as you notice when I did that, the text quickly saved to my CMS, and we have confirmation via the green check mark that everything went okay. Now, what you may notice is right now I'm doing all of this from within RapidWeaver. This is pretty awesome. This means that we can actually edit and control our content all within RapidWeaver. We don't need to actually go online to edit our content if you don't want to. You can publish this page and access it online 100%. However, it is very convenient at times if you're already inside RapidWeaver and you want to change some of the content, just simply go ahead and change the text content straight from your RapidWeaver project. Now, obviously, we don't always want to have plain text, right? A lot of times we want to give our users control to maybe add some bold words or a link or add a header or some bullet lists. And Easy CMS and Total CMS allow you to use Markdown to actually mark up your plain text so that you can provide a richer data set to their users. For instance, let's say I'd like to make this first set of words bold. Now, as you notice, after I selected this text, a small tooltip came up with the most used tools that you might want. So I can make this text bold, or I can make it italic, I can change it to be a header, I can add a link, or I can erase the formatting that is there. So for instance, if I make this text bold, you'll see that what is done is it actually adds the markdown syntax that we would need to make this text bold. Now you may notice there is also a toolbar that we can use. And this toolbar gives us more options than what is in the quick little tooltip. So for instance, we'll notice that we have a rewind button. And what this will do is on the currently active text box, if I were to click this, it will revert that text box to the last saved state. So as you see, that bold formatting that I added but didn't save is now reverted to my last saved state. Now let's go ahead and add a bullet list to our paragraphs here. So let's say I want to add a bullet list here. I can go ahead and click on the list item, and I can then start typing, "This is my list," right? And if you notice, I can just straight type. Once your users get used to it, they can actually just see the syntax, and it's just an asterisk. And you can do the same thing for numbers. You can indent and dedent your lists. You can add images or block quotes and lines, right? Horizontal lines. So as you see, if I want to go ahead and save this, actually, let's go ahead and make this a header. So I'm going to select this text here, and I'm going to make that a header, okay? And what you'll notice is it actually added the markdown syntax that we would need to make that a header. So let's go ahead and save this. And let's preview this, what it looks like on a live page. So here I preview my content page, and you'll notice that all of that markdown syntax that I added into the text box is now displayed nicely inside the first tab. I have my header, a sentence, and my bullet list, all properly formatted nicely, exactly where I wanted it. So let's have a peek behind the scenes and see how all of this was set up. So let's look at our admin page. And if I scroll down and look at the text box that we were just editing, you'll see that the settings here are very simple, right? As you know, we tie everything together with this CMS ID. So I've assigned this particular content area an ID of content 1. Now I explained earlier why I didn't show a save button, because I wanted to have a centralized save button. Or I think it's very easy for the users just to hit Command S or Control S on Windows. And then we can have our placeholder text for insert text here. And then in our text editor, this is really where things get some interesting stuff. So if we look at the admin text editor options, we'll see that we have a markdown formatting checkbox. And what this setting does is that it allows the toolbar to function as well as the tooltip inside that text box. We'll see an example on how we can actually disable that in a little bit. Next, we can do strip HTML on save. This is convenient if you want to make sure that your users don't actually type in any HTML or paste it off the web and try to save it to their website. This will strip any HTML that is typed into the text box. And lastly is the form height, right? This controls the height of the form, which actually, when you are on the published page, you can actually dynamically adjust the height on the fly. So if as you're editing, you want more space, you could just simply drag the box down and make it taller. Now on the content page, things really couldn't be simpler. So you notice I've added a easy text stack to this page here, and I've gone ahead and checked the insert text macro option. And I set the CMS ID to match the CMS ID from the admin area. So basically we're tying those two things together via this CMS ID. So in this instance, I wanted content 1. Now in the display, we have a few different options here. First is plain text. And what that will do is it will purely put in the raw text that was actually inserted into the text area. If the user has typed in any markdown formatting, that markdown formatting will actually be displayed on the live web page. Okay, so that's why it's important to potentially disable markdown formatting if it's not supported for that text area. Okay, but in this instance, I wanted to actually have formatted markdown because we actually wanted that syntax to be converted into HTML so that it shows the nice headers and links and so on and so forth. So that really does it for the basics of editing text inside the CMS, right? You have a content editor that is on the admin page, and you have a text block that you add to your content page. You match those up with the same ID, okay? And you can add some markdown if you want some fancy formatting, such as headers and links and lists and things of that nature, right? Or if you just want some plain text, we can do that too. So now we're going to jump into something a little bit more advanced, and we're going to show you how to edit the content from third-party stacks. This is editing actual content from stacks that don't ship with the CMS. This is really, really powerful. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to target the titles of these tabs and edit those with the CMS. So here I am on the admin page, and we'll see that I have two text inputs that are used to edit those tab titles. Now, just as you would think before, I can go ahead and edit this. And you'll notice, just as we saw before, that the outline of the text box is set to red because I have not edited this content. But let's go ahead and try to add some markdown to this, right? Let's say I wanted to add this "is cool" as bold, and let's go ahead and save that. What we'll notice inside the content page is that markdown came through. And the reason for this is that I want to ensure that the text inside these tabs is fully controlled by the tab stack itself. So I don't want to inject any markdown or HTML in there because it could mess with the styles of my tabs. So if we were to look at this inside the edit mode for the admin page, we'll notice that in this particular box is where I'm editing my titles. And we'll see I set my CMS ID to be title 1. Okay, I don't have a save button, and I have markdown formatting unchecked. Okay, and when I have this unchecked, we'll notice that when I select this text, I don't get that tooltip. If I select this and click on the bold button, I can't make it bold because I've disabled markdown formatting for this particular box. So now it's time to see how the magic happens. How does the content that we save on the admin side actually make it into this tab stack? It's really, really, really simple. If we notice here, this is the foundation tab stack. It doesn't have any sort of support added specifically for the CMS. It's just a normal run-of-the-mill tab stack. But you'll notice inside where I would normally add my tab titles, I have a macro that may look familiar to you. Total CMS uses the same macro syntax that is used in many other RapidWeaver add-ons. And it is a %, the ID of the macro that you want to use, and then a closing %. In this instance, remember I added a CMS ID of title 1 to my tab title. So if I wanted to insert title 1 into this tab, I simply do %title1%. And if we look at tab 2, I made that %title2%. And so on and so forth. This can be done with any text in any stack as long as that text resides inside the main web page. And what we'll notice is we can actually do this outside of stacks as well. So for instance, if I go into my page inspector and look at my browser title, we'll see that I have my browser title set to content-%site title %. In this particular instance, I have a CMS ID on my admin page set to site title. Now my CMS is controlling the browser title of my website. If we go ahead and look at the site-wide code region, I have a meta tag that's set to have a name of description, and then the content of that meta tag is a macro, where the ID is set to site description. And then all I need to do to edit that inside the CMS is create a text box that has a CMS ID of site description. How could this get any easier? Now, in order for these macros to work properly, you will need to ensure that you have at least one total text or easy text stack on the page. In this instance, I have them because I was controlling the content of our tabs using the easy text stack. But if my page consisted of only macros, I would simply add a total text stack or easy text stack to the bottom of my page. So if we look here, I've added a text stack to the bottom of the page. And you'll notice that it actually gives you some tips on how you can use your various macros. If you wanted to have a macro that was set to format Markdown, you would simply use % the ID space dash format and then close %. And you'll notice inside the easy text stacks that where we specify that, that's exactly what these stacks are doing. All it is it's actually putting the macro for you inside the page. Now we can also access alt tags for images, which we won't really go into this particular demonstration right now. But if you have an alt tag set for an image, you can actually access that alt tag as a text snippet via these macros. So that reviews every nook and cranny of processing text within Easy CMS, right? Now we have a few additional features that we can actually have access to with Total CMS, and we're going to review those in a little bit. But I just want to reflect on the power that we have with what we just reviewed. We can not only edit just paragraphs of text, but we can actually edit the content of third-party stacks. As we saw, we edited the tab titles. We controlled the browser title and meta tag descriptions of our web page with the CMS. All with this great, simple, powerful text editing feature in Easy and Total CMS. Now, let's go ahead and jump into some of the additional features that we have with Total CMS. So here we have our Total CMS demo file that ships with the CMS, as well as you can download anytime from our doc portal. And what you'll notice is this page looks pretty much identical to the one that we built with Easy CMS, with a few slight improvements. So here we have the content area that is used to edit the contents of tab 1. And you'll notice it supports Markdown just as we saw before. I can highlight text, I can add Markdown, or I can use the toolbar above just as we saw earlier. But what you'll also notice is there's a full screen button here. And if I click on that, I can enter into full screen edit mode. And what you'll notice is this is split into two, where I have my content editing and a live preview of my content on the right. So if I were to go and add a header, what we'll notice is that I have a live instantaneous preview of my content on the right-hand side. Now, we also have themable, so you can actually toggle if you want dark mode. You can go ahead and toggle dark mode. And this entire full screen edit mode works beautifully on an iPad. Now, if we look at the content editor for tab 2, we'll notice that it doesn't have a full screen button. And this is because it's using a new editor that's specific just for Total CMS. So if you don't want to use Markdown, you can actually select the text in this one, and what we'll notice is we have a slightly different thing in here. And what this is our HipWig editor. And this is our version of a WYSIWYG editor, where you can simply click and add your content, and you will see it live right there on the page, the formatting that you wanted. Now, in this example, I'm only showing a very few basic controls, but there are over 20 items that we can actually add to the formatting bar, such as headers, colors, inserting images or videos, and things of that nature. It's very powerful, and it is featured in just Total CMS. Now, if we look at this in edit mode, we'll notice that inside the text editor options, there is a new option here that we didn't have in Easy CMS for the editor. And we can toggle between the Markdown editor, which has the same options as we saw in Easy CMS, or we can choose the HipWig editor, which allows us to define a height of our editor here. Now, as I said earlier, we can actually add additional buttons to that HipWig editor toolbar. And we do that inside the admin core stack. So if we look at the admin core stack, you'll notice that we have an admin core hip wig, and this allows us to toggle on and off any of the buttons that we'd want inside that menu. And there we have it, everybody. That is some of the really nice little enhancements that Total CMS has for editing text on your sites, on top of what the power that we have inside Easy CMS, right? Now, I know this video went a little long, right? And I hope you're still with me, but this editing text inside of our websites is extremely vital. I mean, all texts have websites. And I think the way that the CMS, both Easy and Total CMS, edit our text content on our sites is exactly what we need. It allows us not only to edit a paragraph, but there are so many amazing stacks out there that we want to be able to edit them via a CMS. And Easy CMS and this text processing that we have allows us to do that. And this really takes building and managing RapidWeaver sites to a whole new level. So I hope you enjoy this. Go ahead and check out the other videos that we have for the CMS, but this one really is vital to understanding how to process text on our websites using Easy and Total CMS. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoy the CMS. I can't wait to see what you use with it. I'm really, really excited. This is exciting times for the RapidWeaver community, and we are just going to keep making better and better things. And I can't wait for you to do that. So thanks very much, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.